Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the autonomic nervous system. It is also called the general visceral efferent system. Why we are calling it the general visceral efferent, that we'll get to know as we see the subsequent slides as we discuss further. So the autonomic nervous system, it controls or it regulates all the smooth muscle activity, all the glandular structure, the myocardium, that is the heart, or we can say that it is controlling the involuntary activities of the body, right? So what is autonomic nervous system? It is nothing but the subdivision of the peripheral nervous system that regulates the body activities which are not under our conscious control, that we just now saw, that it was controlling the smooth muscle activity, the glandular structures and the myocardium. That is, all the involuntary actions were regulated by the autonomic nervous system, and it is the efferent pathway, right? It is the efferent pathway. The division of the autonomic nervous system is into the parasympathetic division, the sympathetic division and the enteric division. The sympathetic and the parasympathetic division, however, they have opposing effects. That is, if one is increasing the activity, the other will decrease the activity, right? So they have antagonistic effects. Parasympathetic system is the one that is functioning when we are under normal conditions. That is, it is the rest and the digest system, right? Under normal circumstances, our body tends to rest and digest, right? That is the parasympathetic system. What about the sympathetic? For example, we see a lion in front of us. What will happen? Either we will fight with the lion, that we are strong enough and will fight with the lion, or we'll fly away, we'll run away from the lion, or we'll get so frightened that we'll freeze. So in that case, what system is activated? The sympathetic system, or the fight, flight or fright system. This is to show the anatomical difference in the sympathetic and the parasympathetic division. This in particular is the sympathetic pathway. As we know, this is the section of the spinal cord. This is which root? This is which root is this? Dorsal. This is the ventral root, right? Which horn is this? Minded. This is the lateral horn, the anteromediolateral horn, from where the sympathetic preganglionic fibers are arising, right? So if someone asks you, from where are the preganglionic sympathetic fibers arising, it is the anteromediolateral horn. So it is arising from the anteromediolateral horn and it is exiting through the ventral root. And now, note my dear friends, what do we see? That it is branching. The preganglionic fibers are showing branching. What is this? This is the ganglion, and this is the postganglionic fiber. In sympathetic system, what happens? The postganglionic fibers, they are longer than the preganglionic, right? And the preganglionic are showing branching. What are these? Blue. This is showing that these are myelinated. This is the parasympathetic pathway. And immediately when we see this, we are able to appreciate that there is no branching. So branching is in the case of sympathetic and there is no branching in the case of parasympathetic. also what we notice is that the preganglionic fiber is longer than the postganglionic fiber, right? So these are the two major differences that we have appreciated from the sympathetic and the parasympathetic pathway. Moving on, this is to tell you about the neurotransmitters which are released at the preganglionic site and the postganglionic site. Why have we written two sympathetic pathway here? Can you see this and this? Why? Because it can operate through two pathways. One is like any other, preganglionic fiber will come at the sympathetic ganglion, and from there the postganglionic fibers will go to the target organ. The other pathway is that the preganglionic fiber will go and innervate the adrenal medulla, right? So one is like, so first pathway was, it was emerging out, the preganglionic fiber reaching the sympathetic ganglion, causing a synapse, and from there the postganglionic fibers are emerging out and reaching the target organ. Second was, it was reaching to the adrenal medulla and was causing its effect. How? That I'll tell you in a few moments from now. What is this? This is the parasympathetic pathway. This is the central nervous system, right? From here the preganglionic fibers are emerging out, right? Can you see what is this? Acetylcholine. So at the preganglionic neurons are releasing the acetylcholine. What is N denoting? The nicotinic receptors, right? And the postganglionic are releasing acetylcholine. That is, note this is M. M is for muscarinic, right? So the preganglionic are releasing acetylcholine. Which receptor? Nicotine. Postganglionic are also releasing the acetylcholine, but which receptor? Muscarinic. Now my dear friends, can you see acetylcholine here? And when we come down here in the sympathetic nerves, we can also see that they are also releasing acetylcholine, right, for the preganglionic fibers. And here as we go down, when we see in case of this pathway, the adrenal pathway of the sympathetic system, we also see that it is also releasing acetylcholine. So can we say all the preganglionic neurons are secreting the neurotransmitter. Which neurotransmitter? Acetylcholine. Can we say they are cholinergic, right? But now what is different? The postganglionic. What is it secreting? Noradrenaline. That is, they have adrenergic receptors. The target organs will be having adrenergic receptors. And here when it is reaching the adrenal medulla, my dear friends, as I told you, here the epinephrine is being released into the blood, and it is through this blood, through this circulation, that it is causing its effect. So even if this is not activated, even then we will have our effect. How? Because epinephrine from here is reaching the target organs through the blood, right? So for the sympathetic activity, we have seen either it is norepinephrine or the epinephrine, right? And the effect can be stimulatory or inhibitory. So if we have a stimulatory effect, it is 1, right? Alpha 1 or beta 1. Almost everywhere in the body we have alpha 1. These are the receptors we are talking about, right? So everywhere in the body we have alpha 1, except for 3 places. What are these 3 places? These are the heart, the juxtaglomeralular apparatus, and the lipocytes. Lipocytes, they have beta 3. Beta 3 are what? They are nothing but modified beta 1, right? If stimulatory action is occurring, by that is, if this sympathetic system is activated and there is stimulatory effect, that means either it is alpha 1 or it is the beta 1, right? Now alpha 1 is everywhere except for these three places. Why? Because in these three places we have beta 1. And if there is inhibitory action, if we are getting an inhibitory effect, then it is either by alpha 2 or beta 2. Everywhere we have beta 2, only few places will have alpha 2, right? For stimulatory effect it is 1 1, for inhibitory it is 2 2, right? Okay, so this is to tell you, we saw the sympathetic fibers were showing branching. Now this branching will obviously have some role. What is this branching? What is the role of this branching? This is again the cut section of the spinal cord. Dorsal horn, ventral horn, the lateral horn. Here, from here, the presympathetic, the sympathetic preganglionic fibers are emerging out. This is the ventral root, and it is emerging out from here, and it is joining through the spinal nerve, right? What is this? This is the sympathetic trunk. What is this? This is sympathetic chain, right? Or we can say it is the paravertebral ganglion, right? It is the paravertebral ganglion. What is this? This is the prevertebral ganglion, right? We'll have this paravertebral on both the sides. This is just showing one side of the spinal cord. This will be present on either side, right? So as this is emerging out, this preganglionic fiber, it has certain choices, it has got certain options. What are the options? Either it can come out through the spinal nerve, and it can cause a synapse just in front of it, जो इसके सामने ganglion है वहीं पे जाकर के it can cause a synapse, right? Or what it can do is it can ascend upwards, right, and cause a synapse here, or it can go downwards and cause a synapse here, or from here it can go to the prevertebral ganglion and cause a synapse here, right? इसके अलावा also we have seen one more method by which the sympathetic system can act. It can go and activate the adrenal medulla, right? So besides these three that we see here, there's one more thing, that it is activating the adrenal medulla and causing its effect. Also, we also infer one more thing from this diagram, that this sympathetic chain here, that means it is interconnected. That is why it can going up also, it is going down also, right? So this is what causes the mass discharge. If the sympathetic system is activated, it will be generalized. The effect will be generalized and not in a certain organ. The effect will be generalized. And why generalized? This is the reason. Because of this, it is causing mass discharge, right? This is showing the preganglionic axons exit the spinal cord through the ventral root and enter the spinal nerve. This is the ventral root. It is coming out from the spinal nerve. They exit the spinal nerve through the communicating ramus. If it is exiting and entering the sympathetic chain, it is through the white communicating ramus, and if it is exiting from the sympathetic chain out, then it is through the gray communicating ramus, right? And when they enter the sympathetic chain, they cause a synapse where the postganglionic fibers are present. The sympathetic division is also called the thoracolumbar outflow. Why? Because these innervate the thoracolumbar region, right? This is a gross classification here. The T1 to T3 spinal segments innervates the head. T1 to T6 innervates the upper extremities and the thoracic viscera. T5 to T11 abdominal viscera. T11 to L2 and sometimes L3 also, the lower extremities, pelvic and the perineal organs, right? Because the thoracolumbar region is involved, it is also called thoracolumbar division, thoracolumbar system, sympathetic system, or the fight or flight system, right? This is to show what we have discussed till now. Any signal coming from the hypothalamus down will not innervate anything in the brainstem or in the cranial region, but as soon as it comes down and reaches the thoracolumbar region, it starts innervating. And as it starts innervating, as we discussed, they are exiting through the white rami communicants, reaching this is the sympathetic chain, right? They are reaching the sympathetic chain, and from here it will cause synapse here, or it will go upwards, or it will go downwards, or they will go to the prevertebral ganglion. What are these? These are prevertebral ganglions. What are the examples? It can be superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric, right? So parasympathetic division, one other name we also know, that is the rest and the digest system. Also it is called as craniosacral outflow, right? Craniosacral outflow. Why? Because it has innervation from the cranial and the sacral outflow. Cranial through the 3rd, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves. 3rd, 3, 7, 9 and 10 cranial nerve, that is the oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal and the vagus. Sacral is through S2 to S4. S2 to S4. This, what are these? What are these? What are these? These red dots here. These red dots are nothing but the, as we just discussed, the ganglions, right? These are the ganglions. Yeah, right? So for the parasympathetic system, we know it is the craniosacral, the cranial region here and the sacral region here. Cranial में 3rd, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves. 3rd cranial nerve, which nucleus? Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Through the oculomotor nerve, causing a synapse at the ciliary ganglion. Innervating the ciliary muscle. What will happen? Contraction will happen of the ciliary muscle, and when the ciliary muscle will contract, there will be mydriasis. For the 7th nerve, it is the superior salivatory nucleus. Through the 7th nerve, causing a synapse at the sphenopalatine ganglion and the submandibular ganglion, innervating the lacrimal and the nasal glands, the submandibular gland and the sublingual glands. What will it cause? It will increase what? The secretion, that is the secretomotor function. And this is the reason why when the parasympathetic system is activated, the saliva is more watery. For the 9th nerve, For the ninth nerve, it is the inferior salivatory nucleus through the ninth nerve, causing a synapse at the otic ganglion, innervating the parotid gland and increasing its secretion. The 10th nerve, that is the vagus nerve. Which nucleus? The dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus and also the nucleus ambiguous. These are preganglionic, right? This vagus we'll discuss a bit later. Okay, the Westphal nucleus. This is the Edinger-Westphal nucleus which we just now saw for the oculomotor nerve here, right? We're taking it theoretically now. The Edinger-Westphal nucleus, which is a part of the oculomotor complex, where in the midbrain. It sends the preganglionic axons, that synapses on the neurons of the ciliary ganglion in the orbit. It innervates the iris and the ciliary muscle, which causes pupillary constriction. Superior salivatory nucleus, through the facial nerve, synapses on the sphenopalatine ganglion, innervating the lacrimal gland, the submandibular gland, and causing it to increase its secretion. The inferior salivatory nucleus, through the glossopharyngeal nerve, synapses on the otic ganglion, stimulates the parotid gland secretion. Outflow by the vagus. The preganglionic cell bodies located in the dorsal motor nucleus in the medulla, right? Another one we also saw was the nucleus ambiguous, right? The ganglionic neurons for this is confined within the walls of the organs that are being targeted, or the organs that are being to be innervated. The sacral outflow is from S2 to S4, right? And the axons pass through the ventral root of the pelvic splanchnic nerves that join the inferior hypogastric plexus. This innervates the perineal and pelvic organs, right? For example, what will it do? It will cause contraction of the bladder. Okay, this is a table from Ganong to summarize the actions of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic in one go. So, parasympathetic, when we are resting. So when we are resting and digesting, the GI system will be stimulated, and the rest will be, there will be inhibition. We can't even say inhibition. It will be a controlled movement. But in case of sympathetic, inhibition will be where? At the GI and the renal, and in the other systems there will be stimulation. And we have already discussed the receptor types. Everywhere it is alpha 1 if there is stimulation, except for 3 places where it was beta 1. Which were those 3 places? Those were the heart, the juxtaglomerular apparatus, and the adipocytes. So in the parasympathetic system, what is happening? The iris muscle and the ciliary muscle are being innervated, and what is happening? Their contraction is happening, and because of this there will be meiosis. For the sympathetic, receptor type is alpha 1. The radial muscle of the iris will be innervated, and there will be a contraction of this muscle, and which will cause pupillary dilatation, that is mydriasis. How can we remember this? When we get scared, if a lion comes in front of us, हमारी आंखें फटी की फटी रह जाएंगी. We say that ना, अरे मैं इतना डर गई थी कि आंखें फटी की फटी रह गई. So there is pupillary dilatation, right? Why is it happening? So that the field of vision can increase. What happens in the case of heart? Parasympathetic system will decrease the heart rate. It will decrease the atrial contractility, and it will decrease the conduction velocity. However, in case of sympathetic nervous system, beta 1, right? Beta 1 receptor type. Everything will be increased heart rate, increased contractility, increased conduction velocity. Why are we requiring the heart rate to increase? By again taking the same example, when we see the lion, आंखें तो फट जाती है. What happens? We say ना, भैया मैं इतना डर गया कि मेरा दिल मुंह में आ गया. Right? So the heart is contracting so fast that we can actually feel it. Why? So that my muscles, उनमें जा करके the blood circulation is increased, and so that we can run away from the site. Okay, so parasympathetic, there is decreased heart rate, and sympathetic, through the beta 1 receptor type, increased heart rates. What happens to the arterioles? In case of sympathetic, alpha 1 receptor type, and it is causing constriction. Why don't we have anything here? Because it is the sympathetic nervous system which is deciding कि dilation होगा या constriction होगा. When there is sympathetic effect, there is constriction, and when this sympathetic effect is removed, there is dilatation. Right? What happens in case of bronchial smooth muscle? We have beta 2, and we know where there are beta 2, alpha 2, beta 2, there is inhibition, that is, it will cause relaxation, right? And the parasympathetic nervous system will cause contraction. And we know that the parasympathetic system is the digest system, so the activity in the GI and the renal will be increased. So it is increased here. In sympathetic, by alpha 1, it is decreased. What happens to the sphincters? The sphincters are contracted. Why? Because when I see a lion, it is no time for me to digest my food and go to the loo, right? It is the time when I have seen the lion, I need to run away. That is why in case of sympathetic nervous system, what is activated? All the other systems are activated except for the GI and the renal, right? So the next is the enteric nervous system, which I'll take in the next lecture. If you have any query, do write in the comment section below, and I'll try to explain your doubts. Thank you very much.